Hello, friends. This is Gianni with Gianni's Closet. We're no longer doing MMA content, and we've started this new segment dedicated strictly to ASMR. Isn't that nice? Oh, I broke a nail. Oh, fuck. God damn it. This is Johnny with TigerBomb MMA, and tonight I'm going over UFC Allen versus Curtis 2, giving you my thoughts and predictions on the entire card. Sorry I went a little crazy there. The previous card kind of made me a little loopy, made me lose my mind a little bit. They actually found me in a parking lot outside of a Walmart in Fremont, Nebraska, singing show tunes, thinking I was Liza Minnelli. But I'm better now. I got my vitamins in me and my yeah, I'm good now. I'm good. But yeah, I'm going to give you my thoughts and predictions on this card. 13 total bouts, but I want to go over that. Oh, see, I censor myself a lot because I wanted to call it an of a card, but I'm going to have to censor that word because it's on, one of the good days. But I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. I went 5 for what, 14, 13? The Gato fight got canceled. I really wish I can count that as a win for my record, but I cannot. But yeah, I did not win any bets. I actually lost 6 units. Drove me nuts. And I'll be upfront. When I placed my bet on the person and the parlay that I made the bet on, about an hour later, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna lose. I just kind of like, why'd I do that? It is what it is. But first fight of the night, it was Keelan, apparently. That's how you pronounce his name. Keelan Lothrain over Angel Pacheco. I had a half unit bet on Pacheco. And I knew right off the bat, like whatever this Keelan cat is going to do, he's probably going to do it to Pacheco. But I'm like, you know what? Pacheco, he's a dog. And early on, I'm like, yo, he's making this minus 700 almost bleed through the nose. I'm like, I feel pretty good about it. Maybe he's not going to win, but maybe down the line, third round, he might catch him. Lahrain really just kind of put it on him. Not much to say. Kind of knew that was going to happen, but wanted to test out the waters. My second bet was on Petrosky. I had a half unit on him at like +2 something. Felt pretty good. He didn't look good off the bat when it came to the striking, but you can definitely tell that he had the wrestling advantage because Malkoun couldn't get him down, but he was able to get Malkoun down, Petrosky, that is, at least momentarily. He actually won the first round unanimously, and then he knocks himself out. That's enough of that. Ibo Aslan versus Anton Turkali. So Turkali, I was looking to bet him live. I looked at the odds. He immediately ballooned up to minus like 170. So I'm like, I can't bet him. So I kept looking. Let's see about later on. Let's see if we can bet him. Never got the chance. Thank God I didn't get the chance because he ended up getting knocked out. Ibo Aslan, dude, I wasn't truly impressed by him, but like he was getting kind of punked by Turkali at certain spots, but he got the knockout more so because Turkali wasn't biting that right hand. Dennis Bazooka. Here's the crazy thing about Bazooka. He was odds to odds, the best odds here. Like I knew he was going to win, but I just said, fuck it. I don't want to bet this guy. Cause he's Dennis Bazooka over Connor Matthews. Connor kind of gave him a decent first round. Like he gave him a run for his money, and then it was all Bazooka from there. Pretty competitive, and then Bazooka blasted him. So I can at least give him his props here that he got the win. And I believe, yeah, he did get a win bonus. Oopsie, I forgot to change the inlay here. Julio Arce defeats Burns. I took a little bit of money on Burns, but again, like I knew he was going to self-destruct. The moment he got that point deduction, I'm like, damn it, I am fucked here. Arce did what Arce did. At least I had like a decent winning record so far. I'm like, hey, I'm 2 for 5. Fantastic. All right, Lupita Godinez. What does she do? The same old shit. I picked her to win, and she does the same shit over and over. She fails to live up to the skill set because she has the skill set. She has the ability to win. She has the ability to strike. She can wrestle, but she is too tentative. And Virna, the best thing I can say about Virna in the worst possible way is that she is so stupid sometimes that she just does it without thinking, and it works out for her. In this case, she tried to out wrestle the wrestler, and it literally worked out for her benefit because Lupita just, I don't know what to do. They were in a 50-50 position at one point. Lupita's dropping down for a heel hook. I'm like, come on, man, get the fuck out of here. Nate Landwehr defeats Jamal Emmers. I had 3 units on Emmers to win, and basically one parlay with Cheaty and Emmers, and the other parlay Cheaty, Emmers, and another guy. I felt good about Cheaty, but Cheaty was like minus 125. Emmers was like minus 190 ish. And I'm thinking, I'm like literally like trying to psych myself up. I'm like, Jamal can get it done. But then like I saw when they faced off, I'm like, oh, I'm fucked here. I thought for whatever reason, I thought Emmers was a lot taller. He looked a lot smaller compared to Nate Landwehr. Then he drops him immediately. And I'm feeling like, okay, maybe I'm overhyping myself up and maybe Jamal can pull it off. He's not going to do anything fucking stupid. And then he does something fucking stupid by just standing in front of Nate Landwehr. Nate was clinching him up. He was walking him down. Jamal didn't really do anything other than try to strike with him, which was like, come on, dude. And then he got knocked the fuck out. So already busted there. Cheaty, I took Cheaty by inside the distance. Horrible fight. He got the job done. Reese McKee, stupid game plan. Kyle Nelson. So the Bill Algeo stoppage. Was there another stoppage that was a bit early? I don't remember. I guess the Turkali one, but it was what it was. People can justify that one because, not Keith Peterson, Copeland. Copeland was apparently like, oh, that was a good stoppage. I'm like, when a guy's holding himself up, at least let him take another shot because he might have dropped back down and try to kick him off of him or maybe pull him into his guard. But either way, I think he would have lost Turkali. But with the stoppage for Bill Algeo, I honestly thought it was a little too early. I think Bill can take punishment. I think had he dropped after Kyle hit him, that would have been justifiable. It's just me, let him fucking die. Ruzaboev defeats Dumas. I know there's a lot of people pissed off at Dumas and the referee there because he did get poked. I can justify this one more than the next one that we're going to talk about. But Dumas, he got poked pretty bad and then he went down. He never tried to wrestle with the guy, which, I was pretty confident in Ruzaboev, but not at those odds. He finished him in the first round. What can I say? Next bout, Chris Weidman wins via the perfect 1-2 combination of eye pokes. This should have been a disqualification in my eyes, right? I guess maybe definitely in my eyes because Bruno didn't have eyes. Copeland didn't have eyes. Copeland literally did not want to give any sort of warning to Chris, not even a point deduction. It was nuts. And even when they ruled it a TKO, I'm like, okay, they should be able to review it. Maybe a no contest, maybe even take it to a decision. They still ruled it a TKO. I was like, oh my God, that was egregious as fuck. Chris, he poked him multiple times. I know Bruno kind of belly flopped, but the same thing happened with, I think it was Rumble and some dude named something Burns, Kevin Burns or some shit like that. He allegedly like tried to hit him with an uppercut, but he actually poked him in the eyes, and Rumble Johnson just fell to the ground, and that actually ruined his eyes for a long time. Who's to say that didn't happen to Bruno Silva here? And then Chris is like, oh, you can't do that. You can't flop to the ground. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Chris. I was pretty pissed off at Chris Weidman there. Vicente Luque, he was he's a husk of his former self. I blame Jesus. When Jesus enters his heart, he no longer has the viciousness inside of him. The same thing happened to Rory McDonald. Like, he found Jesus, and then he's just like, I can't hurt these guys anymore, which is all fine and dandy. But when you're a fighter, that was a weak ass stoppage from Buckley. Like, it's not Buckley's fault for sure. Like, Vicente Luque pulled guard, and Buckley's just hitting him on the shoulders, and it wasn't a great stoppage in the sense of like Vicente was done, but it was a great stoppage in the sense that Vicente himself was like kind of hinting like, hey, I'm giving up here. That really sucked to see because Vicente didn't get outmatched here. Nothing really landed cleanly on him. So I don't know what happened there. It seemed like a mental thing. Like, I really think I know I'm joking when I say he found Jesus, but like, really, I think because he did find religion, he no longer has that like competitive edge. He doesn't have that sort of spirit to fight. He kind of propped up Buckley at the end of the fight. Like, he had no issues with the stoppage, or it just seemed odd to me with Vicente. But yeah, like that was strange. Buckley wasn't really landing clean on him. It was more of like the threat of the combination. Buckley's like long combinations, body, body, head were kind of whiffing. Nothing was landing super clean. So I don't know what happened there. And then Manon Fiorot defeats Aaron Blanchfield. Like realistically, I thought Fiorot was going to be able to dominate like that early. And then maybe Aaron was going to find her way eventually. But Aaron just decided to bum rush her every single time. And yeah, she got 50-45. It was pretty funny. Yeah, horrible night. Atlantic City, horrible place. New Jersey is a hellhole. Never, ever. They said they were going to go back. I'm staying the fuck away from that card. I think that was super cursed. But yeah, back to the Allen versus Curtis 2 card. I'll give you my quick thoughts on this one because it's a better card for damn sure, for damn sure. But yeah, it's this first fight of the night, Melissa Tanya Mullins, formerly Dixon. Don't know if she got divorced because I remember in the broadcast they were talking about like Dixon being her husband. Dixon was inside of her. Now it's Tanya Mullins versus Nora Cornhole. Wonder Cornhole. I see No Mess. What's funny about No Mess, back when she was Dixon, it kind of went together like Melissa, No Mess Dixon. Like you get your dicks in, and then there's no mess after. I don't know, whatever. But she's 6-0. Comeback on Cornhole is minus, 7-1. I didn't give you the odds yet. Good thing because I would have forgotten. Let's see. Dixon. She is a minus 265. Come back on Cornhole plus 205. Automatically, I think Mullins wins the fight. Very, very interesting decision, I'll say. Cornhole, what can I say about her? Watching tape on her, both these girls can beat up scrub women, right? Primarily Cornolle, if you will. I think she has good stand up. She's a Muay Thai champion from France, whatever that means. Probably means that she did soccer once. People said, hey, you kick pretty well. You can probably do Muay Thai. And then they just crowned her a Muay Thai champion. But she has decent enough striking where she's comfortable on the feet. Good lateral movement side to side. Absolutely atrocious takedown defense when it comes to the unconventional woman type of takedowns like the head and arm throws. I think her ability to stuff takedowns isn't bad, meaning like traditional like double leg, single leg, because in the clinch she's pretty comfortable. She throws good elbows, good knees up the middle to the body. It's just more so like Mullins just kind of bum rushes her and she falls over kind of stuff. Like she doesn't have that coordination when it comes to the athleticism to stuff takedowns in that unconventional manner. And I think Mullins, she is solid when it comes to like the fundamentals of striking a decent enough 1-2. She does have some pop in her punches. What she excels at is the ground game. And I'm very critical, obviously, of the women's and their skill set because when taping both of these, all I'm really looking for is, Mullins. She can take an ass whooping. She gets dropped consistently. She's not the best defensive striker. It is a very tempting fight to take Cornolle because at plus money at like plus 2-1, there's a chance you can actually crack Dixon here, Mullins, and put her out or at least do enough damage. But we've seen Mullins. I'm going to call her Dixon. We've seen Dixon take an ass whooping, and that's why she's undefeated. But when she gets girls to the ground, which at one point Cornolle will hit the ground, it just depends on is Mullins going to be out before then. If it gets to the ground, I think Mullins is going to absolutely dominate her because we saw that Cornolle doesn't really have much of a ground game. She can definitely get up. We saw that against the Jocelyn Edwards, where she was able to get up, but it was a lot of power get ups, a lot of non-technical maneuvers, and a lot of stuff that was mostly Edwards' fault. Wasn't able to control her, I think, because she was just too small. Mullins, she's got really heavy hips. I like the way she flows from top control to side control to mount to back mount. She doesn't really give up position a lot. And I think they're both tough. Mullins, I think there's a chance she can get hurt. I don't think she's worth taking at those odds at like what was she again? Minus 265. I say if you want to take her, definitely wait until she gets dropped. And then at that point you can take her. I think she will eventually get her to the ground and the decision her. I don't think she will get a submission. she is really good at keeping that control. And Cornolle, I think she's really good at giving it up. But next bout, we've got Dylan Budka versus Cesar Almeida. Now, with the odds here, I think they were pretty close. Yeah, Almeida is minus 140. Come back on Budka. I'm sorry, plus 140 for Almeida. Come back on Budka is like minus 165. I find that fascinating because I do think Almeida is the better overall fighter. It's just you're looking at his age here. He is 36 years old compared to the 24-year-old wrestler in the mindless Hulk, Dylan Budka. And you watch Budka and you see a lot of good stuff from him, and then you see the inexperience from him, right? He's got really good wrestling. He's got a wrestling pedigree, but he can get taken down and he can get stuffed. He has pretty decent striking, a lot of kicks from the outside, a lot of lateral movement, really good cardio. It's just that when it comes to the striking itself, there's a lot to be desired. When it comes to this fight in particular, where he's fighting Cesar Almeida, who is a former world champion kickboxer, that's a huge step up in competition, even though they're relatively inexperienced at the same time. Like one has a total record of 9 fights, the other one has 4 fights, but that's in MMA. In Almeida, he's got like a ton of fights in kickboxing. And on top of that, when you see his not his jiu-jitsu, but his MMA game, you're a little flabbergasted. Like, how is this guy this good? And, he hasn't been fighting regularly in MMA, but he comes back from a layoff and he utterly just handles this kid who was undefeated at the time in the Contender Series and Lucas Fernando. I think this is Almeida's fight to lose, truly, because I like Budka a lot. I was leaning Budka immediately when I saw like, yo, this guy's solid, right? He had a really good performance in the Contender Series against that fraud that apparently went to a split decision with Ikram Ilaskirov, the Honeycomb. But I go back and watch his tape, and you still see a little glimpses of inexperience here and there. Obviously, because he just started his career, you see his first loss. And I see him as a guy that if he can't get takedowns and he's kind of forced to strike, he can hang with certain level of guys, but I don't think he can hang with Almeida. And I think Almeida's got some pretty solid takedown defense. Like, he's got the athleticism. I think Almeida at 4-0 was more advanced in MMA than Pereira was when he came possibly to the UFC, which is nuts to say because he accomplished all that he accomplished, obviously. Not to say that Almeida's going to become a champion. I just think that he has the skill set already that even at 36 years old, he can beat a young guy. And like, I do like Dylan Budka. I think he's more than capable of winning this fight, but I just think that at dog odds, I think Almeida might be the guy. Like, he's got the striking background. He's got the pedigree in striking. And I think Budka's, again, just a little too inexperienced, even though he's 7-2. He hasn't wowed me yet. He has the wrestling, but when I look at the matchup, he's going to want to take it to the ground because on the feet, he's going to get outmatched. Unless he catches Almeida with like a bomb, which has happened, obviously, right? The wrestler like with Kevin Randleman and Mirko Krokop in Pride, Mirko's just like, I'm the better striker. This guy's not going to touch me. And then, bam, he gets whacked real good. That could happen here. Of course, it could happen in any fight. But I think with Almeida being just the more technical of the two, and I think even the slightly better ground game, I think I will have to go with Almeida to actually get a knockout in like maybe the first or second round. I'm not uber confident. From what I'm seeing, I think he is just the more technical of the two. Moving on, we've got Gene Matsumoto versus Dan Argueta. And I'll be very brief with this one. I'm going to go with Argueta. The main reason for Argueta is that although Matsumoto is uber talented, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's got really good Muay Thai, really good low kicks. I feel as if that 4-0 isn't quite as pristine as the 9-1-0 for Argueta, which that's weird. It should be, that's 2. Should be whatever, and 2 because he's got 2, I guess, no contests. But with Argueta, we saw that he sucks at kind of striking. We saw that he only goes for the takedown. And I don't know if Matsumoto has fought a guy who is as relentless as Dan Argueta, who only wants the one thing and he does whatever he can to get it. Meaning that Argueta for sure is the lesser of the two when it comes to the more complete skill set. But that skill set that Dan has, that I want to get you to the ground and dominate you there. I don't know if Gene has fought a dude that has done that to him because he can get back up, but I've seen the guy give up takedowns and get controlled, and then come the second round, he kind of stuffs the takedown, but they're not as athletic or as pedigreed when it comes to the wrestling as Argueta. And what are the odds? I keep forgetting the fucking odds. Where are we here? Minus 210 for Matsumoto. Come back on Argueta plus 165. I don't love this bet, but I think I have to take Argueta to win this fight. I think Argueta is going to maybe ragdoll him. And it just really depends if Argueta is going to get tired or if he's going to get outstruck on the feet. Because if Matsumoto just starts wailing on him, I do think that at that point he can put enough damage on Argueta. But even then, I still think Argueta can take him to the ground. Again, I've watched tape on Matsumoto, and he is very good. He's definitely very good. But that 14-0 does kind of scare me because he's fighting the right competition, tailor-made for him. Guys that he can outstrike easily and stuff takedowns. But now he's fighting a new level of competition. Dan Argueta's fought really good guys, and he's gone through some shit. And I don't think Matsumoto's gone through the type of stuff that Argueta has. And I think Argueta will just give him that unfortunate lesson of there's going to be guys that are literally just going to try to hold me down, and there's not much I can do until I get, a bit stronger. And, between you and me, Argueta kind of looks like he's on that secret sauce here. So I think that secret sauce is going to lead to an Argueta decision. All right, moving on. We've got Cynthia Calvillo at strawweight versus Piera Rodriguez. Look at all that red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it more? Who gives a shit? Cynthia Calvillo, 36 years old, 9-6 versus La Fiera Piera Rodriguez, 9-1. The odds have it in favor of, pretty obvious, right? It's going to be Piera minus 155. Come back on Calvillo plus 130. And when doing research on this fight, I came to the realization that I unfortunately believe that Calvillo can win this fight. She's on a massive losing streak, obviously. So I don't need to be reminded of that. I don't need to be reminded that she has quit on the stool. But I think her skill set matches up pretty well with Piera, who, with her, it's 5 losses. Wow. With Piera, she really likes to get it to the ground, get some ground and pound going. But with a girl like Calvillo, who she has good wrestling, decent hands, I think she's just a good matchup for Piera Rodriguez. It just really depends because I know Piera really wants it. She, to me, is very limited when it comes to like her skill set. Like she's mostly like a little pit bull where she can win fights with her limited skill set, where she can get a good takedown, right out top control. But when she's fighting girls with like more experience or just a better overall game, in the sense of like that girl who just beat her, what's her name? Jillian Robertson armbarred her. I think Calvillo's got the jujitsu to not dominate Piera Rodriguez, but to just control her. And also, I think her boxing is a little bit better. Piera Rodriguez, to me, her striking isn't all that great. It's serviceable where she can win fights with it, but it's mostly her toughness and her aggression that will do the trick, where I think Calvillo actually has the better stand-up, the better boxing. And if need be, I think she can actually get the takedowns and have the jiu-jitsu ability. Like, to me, this is a significant step down for Calvillo. And if you look at it, the people that she's fought, last fight, Lupita Godinez, we can go on and on about Godinez, but we know what level she's at, where she can dominate girls. And she went to a split with her, went to a split with Nina Nunes, who, although, again, she kind of sucks herself and she's retired, she's a solid fighter, very good skill set. Andrea Lee, all these women are better than Piera Rodriguez, Jessica Andrade, Caitlin Chukagian, like, for real. Like, she's had a really rough time, and definitely I've seen the decline in her. And I do believe that even if Calvillo, and if I do believe in even if I'm 100% right that her skill set is better than Rodriguez's, that washedness of Calvillo is something that you can't get over. And it just really depends. Is she too washed that a Piera Rodriguez can beat her? And that is, if Piera beats her, she 1000% needs to retire, go to Russia and live under a rock somewhere. But in this case, I do think Calvillo has the ability to edge out this decision win. She's been having closer and closer fights. I don't think she's fully done yet. I just think that the opponents that she's had have been kind of on the higher end, despite her like diminishing skill set, her age, and with that, it could play tricks on you. Like, oh my god, do I suck? And then you're training really well in the gym. There's got to be a reason why she keeps fighting. Not, she's on a 5-fight losing streak. Like, I thought the same thing about Weidman, and Weidman looked pretty damn decent against a guy who was truly washed. But in this case, I do think Calvillo can get the win here. Just mixing things up better than Piera Rodriguez, being the bigger girl, throwing the better shots, and actually getting takedowns on Rodriguez. So I'll go with Calvillo to eke out a very slimy decision. Next bout, Alatong Heili versus Victor Hugo. I went back and forth on this one because with Victor Hugo, uber talented. The guy has it all other than what I believe to be a really bad gas tank, where I don't trust it for him to actually go all 15 minutes with a guy like Alatang Heili, who is tough as shit, good wrestling, good right hand. But we've seen Alatang get utterly destroyed on the outside with kicks. If he cannot close the distance, he's just going to get chipped away from the outside and lose a decision. If he can't get takedowns, then the same thing will happen. With Victor, I think round number 1, he is a fast starter. Comes out really quick. He likes to get the takedown. I don't know if he's going to want to do that. It's funny that his nickname is Striker when he's mostly a nasty grappler. He loves going for the knee bars and leg locks. And the odds, before I forget again, is -135 for Hugo. Come back on Heili is +115. Why is that? I think for the same reasons why I believe what I believe about Hugo is that he might gas. Alatang Heili's not going to go anywhere. I don't know if Hugo's just going to go in there and steamroll him, take him down, get his back, choke him out. That's not happened to Alatang Heili in quite a long time. Like, he's not been put out. He's tough as shit. He can take a lot of punishment and keep going forward. And if, say, Hugo does get tired, at that point, he's going to be a sitting duck in my eyes, because Alatang Heili does carry a ton of power where he can hurt him, knock him out. I thought he was slowing down in his Contender Series fight, and then he ended up getting that knee bar where it was kind of gifted to him by that Coat character, Eduardo Mateus Torres Coat. Shorten your fucking name, dude. And yeah, the dude gets a lot of early finishes. He has gone to a decision. There was one fight where I saw him go to a decision, but I don't think it was a clear example as to him having a good gas tank. It was against a dude named, it was an Asian fella, Japanese, I reckon. Let me see where the hell his name is. Shinsuke Kamiye. That was a kid that was 3-1 at the time. And I feel like Hugo is the kind of guy that he can go to a decision when he is clearly the better fighter. He was able to take him down at will, just kind of dominate him there. I feel as if you give him resistance, he will take a shot to his gas tank. And a guy like Heili is the kind of guy that can take the ass whooping from the outside, like kicks, because the guy is a solid striker as well, but he does like to do his dirty work on the ground. I don't know if he's going to be able to take him down. I do think Heili is live, but if Hugo fights very smart here, meaning like he fights in here, comes into the UFC with his debut, and he fights the smartest way he can, and that is staying on the outside, just striking with them, and then mixing in takedowns, trying to go for the leg locks, trying to sweep them from the bottom. That could be a double-edged sword for sure. If Heili has got the wherewithal to not get swept, he's going to be losing on the bottom. But if he just keeps it on the feet striking-wise, I think he's got enough to just win a decision. It's really close between these two. I was leading Heili for that reason. I'm like, hey, just take that ass whooping early, avoid any submissions, go forward, just bum rush him. But again, Heili moving forward and bum rushing tends to cause him to just get outstruck from the outside. So for that reason, I will stick with Hugo for a decision win. I'm not looking forward to betting him quite yet, because I do suspect there is some quit in him. The boy got quit in him. I sees it in him. but we'll see what happens with this one. Next bout, we've got Norma Dumont versus Jermaine Durandamy. What's interesting, well, let me read the odds here with Dumont and Durandamy. It is minus 200 Dumont comeback on Jermaine Durandamy. The Iron Lady, she hasn't fought in, 3 years because she had a baby. She's 39 years old, but what's so crazy about Jermaine Durandamy is that, like, I've grown to respect and kind of miss her in this division in bantamweight and featherweight because she really put on some good performances against the former champ, and the other former champ actually put the other former champ to sleep. When it comes to Durandamy, I've kind of really realized that in a weight class in a division where there were so many big names at the time, like you had Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate, she went under the radar. Holly Holm, for example, which Durandamy beat, she went under the radar because she wasn't a big name. She didn't have a good look, but she's very solid. And then you saw her progress in her game, ability to stuff takedowns, her Dutch style kickboxing in point. And for that reason, I'm going to take Durandamy to actually knock out Norma Dumont. And I love Norma Dumont. All right. I spent countless dollars on trying to get a fucking shirt made with her fucking name on it and something that said big booty on it, big booty power, because I love that big booty power of Dumont. And this is no longer featherweight. That's the biggest issue. This is a bantamweight fight. And I've been saying it for the longest time. That big booty power comes at featherweight, not bantamweight. And at bantamweight, I do think that Durandamy, despite her being away for a long time, I think she outmatches her in every single way. I think she's going to be stronger than her. She's going to be better in the clinch than her. She's going to be better at striking at distance than her. She's going to have more power. I think she just completely destroys Norma Dumont in this situation. Dumont's been beaten by longer girls here, and Dumont's going to have a 2-inch height disadvantage and about nearly a 3-inch 3, 4, 5-inch reach disadvantages as well. And the last person that she fought that was tall and long armed was Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson knocked her the fuck out. I think Durandamy's here to knock her out. I saw her hitting pads. She hasn't really lost a step unless she's like coming in here for a paycheck and she's not up to like snuff. I think Dumont can take advantage, but even then, I think Durandamy just has the skill set and has developed the skill sets to still contend in this division for a title, even though she's 40 years old. So I'm going to give it to Durandamy. Like she's got it. I do believe she's got the skill set still to contend with these girls. So I'm going to go with Durandamy by knockout. I'm going to say the second round. I'm looking to actually bet her. Next bout, we've got Court McGee versus Alex Morono. We've got Morono. He's going to be the favorite for damn sure. Where are you at? Minus 350. Come back on Court McGee is plus 275. Not much to say there. It's going to be Morono's fight to lose. He's going to win this one by a decision or maybe a knockout with a sneaky right hand. As we know, Morono, he's got great MMA fighting ability. He's got great MMA striking, great MMA grappling. Usually the guys who beat Morono are guys that can blow him out of the water or are just too physical or just too athletic for him. In this case, Court McGee, he's going to be just too old. He's not as physical as he used to be. He's very good at kind of keeping you and grinding you against the cage, but other than that, he doesn't really carry a ton of power. He doesn't really possess the ability to hang with guys. His chin, as we saw, can't handle it anymore. I think Morono's probably live here to actually get a knockout. It's just, when is he going to get it? Is he going to get it early, or is it never going to happen? He's live to get it against Court McGee. I don't think he's going to submit Court McGee. That'd be surprising. But it's kind of like leaning either decision or knockout for Morono for me. But I'm going to go with decision. I think Court McGee might just try to clinch him up a bit, and Morono's going to be able to escape. You know how Morono has that awkward, funky movement. I think he's going to be, funny enough, too fast for Court McGee. It's usually guys that are too fast for Morono. In this case, he's going to be faster than Court McGee. I will take him by decision. Next bout. Oh boy. This one is fun to watch, hard to break down. Because Trevor Peek, super fun to watch. Awesome guy, right? For his limited skill set, Super fucking fun to watch. He's 9-1. Charlie Campbell, he is 8-2. These two guys are more than likely going to slug it out, and it's going to be a fun, entertaining barn burner for as long as it lasts. And the odds have it minus 250 for Charlie Campbell, come back on Trevor Peek plus 190. The reason for that is Charlie Campbell is the much, 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 much better fighter than Trevor Peek. What they don't include in these odds is that Charlie Campbell is also the dumber of the fucking two. Charlie Campbell is live to get knocked the fuck out in this fight here against Trevor Peek. Trevor Peek, he's wild, he's reckless, he doesn't know how to strike properly, he doesn't know how to get a proper takedown, but the guy is absolutely tough. He doesn't know when to quit. He, to me, is a lot like the white lightweight Derek Lewis. Jiu-jitsu does not work on him. He just gets right back up. He just has that he can just get back up. Like it's a weird anomaly of a guy. Like he shoots in for takedowns in his last fight against that Yahya fella, I believe. Muhammad Yahya just takes him down easily, eats his punches, no problem. The guy can slang leather, but he's not technical with his punches. He's kind of slow, but he's a marauder. He bum rushes really good. Against Charlie Campbell, Charlie pisses me off because in his last fight against Reyes, I'm not going to even mention the Duncan fight. I don't want to blow a blood vessel talking about that one, but in the Duncan fight, no, I'm sorry, the Reyes fight, fucking Duncan, God, the Reyes fight, all he had to do was knock him out and just be very, very careful. He hurts him, and he was careful. He didn't just like bum rush him like the last time against a certain unknown, unnamed person that we won't discuss. But he was patient. It's just his shot selection is utterly trash to me because I don't think he's got the best head movement. I don't think he's got the best striking defense. And he doesn't have the best chin. I don't know what gives me that inkling, but I don't think he's got the best chin. With this guy against Reyes, he threw a naked ass uppercut. And I swear to you, as he's throwing it mid throw, he threw the combination, he throws the punch, he throws the uppercut with his head just right there, that a good counter would just put his ass out because his head wasn't moved, his chin was up in the air, and luckily, the follow-up punch after that stupid uppercut knocked out Reyes. But I remember thinking in that moment, like my brain formulating, like, this stupid motherfucker is throwing stupid shots. He doesn't need he knocked him out, thank God. But yeah, like Charlie Campbell, to me, he's the much better fighter, but also the much less intelligent fighter when it comes to fight IQ. I think Trevor Peek can take a punch that if, say, Charlie hits him clean on the jaw and he hurts him, Trevor just stands his ground and starts swinging again, and then he may knock Charlie Campbell out. It's Charlie because he comes from the better team. He should be better prepared. He trains at with Sarah Longo, Weidman, and whatnot. He needs to fight with a game plan and not strike strictly with Trevor Peek. If he does strike with Trevor Peek, he just needs to be the better boxer, keep him at bay, hit him with the hard shots, but his defense needs to be on point. So I'm going to take Charlie Campbell. I think this is a very easy win for him, but it's also a very easy fight for him to lose if he gets too stupid. And I cannot trust him. I don't think he's worth taking as a pick at all. Like maybe taking him by decision because Trevor Peek ain't gonna quit, or maybe possibly fight doesn't go the distance because if Trevor Peek is live to get knocked out one day, it could be Charlie Campbell, but he's just super tough. Like he's the methamphetamine, as I call him. If meth couldn't kill him, if all them drugs can kill him, I don't think Charlie Campbell here is going to be able to kill him. But yeah, I think he's going to be the bigger dude. He can wrestle, he can grapple, he can mix things up. Very easy fight for Charlie Campbell, but again, very easy fight for him to lose. Moving on, we've got Lucas Brezski versus Walter, the clean monster Walker. I believe he used to go by Walter Ignacio. So if you can't find tape on him, that's the reason why. Walter Ignacio versus the bull, Lucas Brezski. Lucas Brezski is looking in really good shape. So I don't know what weight he's going to come in here, but when I'm looking at Walter here, and the odds have it in his favor, which will be minus 400 for Walter Brezski plus 300. Automatically, Brezski's live. When I see Walker, I know why he's in the UFC. He's 11-0. He fought a veteran, a former UFC fighter in Alex Nicholson, and he displayed some stuff that I liked, right? He can wrestle. He likes to wrestle. And when I say he can wrestle, that is just it. He can wrestle. He's not a good wrestler, not a great wrestler, not a great at control, but he can wrestle the same way he can strike, but he's not a striker. He's just a big dude. He's 6'6", 200 and God knows what pounds. He's a big monster, man, but he doesn't display the skill. He has the wherewithal to win a fight, meaning that like he will push through fatigue, but I think he's super dependent on that takedown. And with Brezski, I think he will be the better striker here. I think he's fought the better competition. It's just that there's a clear path for Walter to win, and that is to use his wrestling to get him to the ground and just control him and try to beat him up there. Brezski got knocked the fuck out his last fight. It's just, I think it's Brezski or pass, but pick wise, I'm going with Walker to win this fight. I think there's a multitude of ways you can win. The easiest path to victory is mix in your strikes, maybe throw some hard punches, then get the takedown. Brezski does have some decent get-ups. He's not like, oh my God, I got taken down. Even against the much better wrestler in, what's his name, Williams? Carl Williams? Not Cat Williams. Carl Williams. He was able to get back up. It's just that Williams is, to me, a much more complete fighter than Walter. It's just with Walter being a younger dude and so athletic and so monstrous that he can develop in a short period of time. And in this case, I think he's got the ability to just wear on Brezski, take him down, use your big power, your strength, control them, maybe land some punches. I think he's going to have a better time kind of laying on top of Brezski than Carl Williams just because he's so big and so monstrous. But when I see Walker, he does some things that I do like. He likes kind of throwing knees to the body a lot. And that's a good weapon here against Brezski. Just attack the body, wear on him, take him down. That's the easiest path to victory. Maybe get a knockout along the way, but I do think Brezski for damn sure is live. I just can't pick him to win. I know he's looking in good shape. Like, he has abs. He has a decent amount of output with his strikes. He will be the better striker. It's just, again, it's a fucking monster Walker over here. So I got to go with the giant Walker here. I'm not confident in putting him in any parlays. This is like a test. Let's take a look to see what he can do, because I was not impressed with this tape. But again, I'm not going to watch every single one of his fights. I saw this guy fight a midget, and he somehow he had trouble knocking him out. He knocked him out, but he had, it was what it was. How big was this dude? His name was Casio de Oliveira. He was like 40 some years old, terrible record. He's a short, 6 foot tall dude, and he finished him in the second round, I believe. Yeah, in the second. Like, you should have been finishing this guy in the first round. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, he's got a yee little hours record. Like, he's undefeated. We'll see what he can do. This is his tryout for me. I need to watch him in a real fight, because I don't think he's had like real fight other than the Nicholson. But again, he just dominated him on the ground. He just repeatedly took him down, and he didn't look impressive to me. But I think, again, he has that path to victory. But, I don't want to say I'm considering taking a shot on Brezski, but I might take a shot on Brezski. Next bout, Ignacio Bahamondes versus Christos Giagos. I thought Giagos might be live here, and I think he is. My criticism of Ignacio Bahamondes has always been, all right, so when he fought his debut against Makdessi, I thought he was going to run through Makdessi. He's the longer guy, good kickboxing, years and years of kickboxing experience. His dad was a kickboxer, and he's a kickboxer. He's just bigger and better than this washed up. Oh shit, he can't box for shit. He can't box for goddamn shit. He's a good kickboxer, but his hands suck. And that's what's crazy. Like, he can stuff takedowns. He can stuff takedowns, but he can't stuff power doubles. He can't stuff like power takedowns. His hands, like, he's just so awkward and lanky. 6'3", and he's got the 75.5-inch reach. Giagos, massive power, and he just fought a tall, lanky dude his last fight where he hurt him with an overhand right. So the odds have it in favor of Bahamondes minus 350, come back on Giagos plus 260. And what does Giagos have? He has power wrestling. He's got power in the right hand, but he fades. He gasses out. With Bahamondes, like I've seen him shit. Before I tell you what I saw about him, his last fight against that roided out specimen in oh my god, Ludovic Klein. Ludovic, much smaller guy, which is nuts, right? Could not miss jabbing him. His hands were on point. He actually hurt Bahamondes to the point that Bahamondes went to the ground, and I don't think he's got much shit off of his back. Meaning that if you get him to the ground, he can't really do much off of his back, even against a smaller, less strong opponent, which was nuts. And Ludovic was just piecing him up with the punches. And again, he had the shorter reach than Bahamondes, but like his boxing sucks. It's just been a thing that I thought he got over after he lost to McDessie. But yeah, his boxing's not very good. Giagos, at the very least, has decent hands. And although I don't think Giagos is all that great, I do think Giagos is a guy that, like, he's a flake. He will eventually self destruct. Not to say that he has got bad gas tank or anything, but he finds a way to lose. In this fight, I do think he's live to maybe get a knockout. I think he is live to get Bahamondes down. It just depends if Bahamondes' takedown defense has significantly improved. And I have seen him recently, even on Instagram, training his wrestling. It's just, is he going to be able to stuff these takedowns? I think he can. I think his takedown defense is pretty solid. And I think the difference between Giagos and comparing him to Ludovic Klein is that Giagos, he will slow down. I think he will eventually slow down. I think Bahamondes, keeping him to the body, keeping him long, just putting out pressure and pace on him is just going to slow down Giagos, and eventually Bahamondes will be successful, whether he gets a finish or not. Bahamondes, realistically, to me, he's not very dangerous when it comes to knockout power. I don't think he's got massive knockout power. His only knockouts recently have been via kick. He threw a front kick in the Contender Series to some fat dude, and then he got that spinning wheel toe kick, essentially, to Roosevelt, whatever, Roosevelt Roberts. I was going to call him Roosevelt Rodriguez. Yeah. I think that it could be Bahamondes' decision because it's going to be a decision. That's what makes me so weary about taking Bahamondes. I think Giagos can get ahead early, where all he has to do is not get finished by like a body shot or something crazy by Bahamondes. I think this is a very live spot for Giagos based on what I've seen from Bahamondes, where he can get hurt with big power shots. Giagos, that's all he throws. His boxing is kind of shit. It depends on, has he developed in that amount of time. And I think he is going to show some development here where his wrestling is going to be on point. He can actually use his big frame and even go for some offensive takedowns on Giagos and see if Giagos' gas tank holds up. So I'm going to go with Bahamondes to win this via decision. I'm not sold on him. I think this guy is a trap at those odds where you're thinking, oh, let's fade Giagos because he sucks. He just got beat by a similar guy. But that similar guy in Zellhuber, much better everywhere else. It's just maybe not up here. But when it comes to Bahamondes, I think he's more than capable of pulling a stunt at those odds. But I do think he is going to show that progress here against Giagos. Keep the body, avoid getting hit with the big power shot. You do some offensive wrestling. Don't need to get it. Just tire out the arms of Giagos and then just pick him apart from the outside for the remainder of the fight. Next bout, Morgan Charriere versus Chepe Mariscal. Odds have it in favor of, where are they at? Odds have it in favor of Charriere, minus 175. Come back on Mariscal is plus 145. And I went back and forth on this one quite a bit because I like Chepe Mariscal a lot. And I try to support the guy a lot because I think he's skilled. He's got the judo black belt. I think jiu-jitsu black belt as well. The only issue that I always had with him is that he is going to explode at one point, meaning he's been knocked out many a time. I think he is a really hard worker. I think he finds ways to win. I think he's definitely got a pretty high fight IQ. The issue is that he's going to be fighting a guy in Morgan Charriere who I think is just going to be too athletic for him. I think he's going to be too sharp. I think Charriere in the past, if you notice, he's got a ton of losses on his record, 9 losses overall. I think with those losses, it's because he wasn't quite an MMA fighter yet. Like he's got great kickboxing, good hands, good speed, good reflexes. He's strong, good grappling now, but in the past didn't have it. He didn't have that complete set. And when it comes to this fight, the way I see it is they are evenly matched on paper. They have the same amount of skill. Maybe Chepe has more skill, but I think Morgan Charriere's ability to just be more athletic, who has the better striking, just not by a whole ton. The reason I think Charriere has got the better striking is because he's just the more athletic of the two. And on top of that, Charriere has never been finished. Chepe has been finished quite a bit of times. But the reason Chepe to me is always a great dog, because he's beaten great competition. And it looks even better now when you look at his record and the guys he's beaten. So starting off with, and let's ignore the people that he's lost to, but like starting off with a guy that just recently came back in the UFC. He decisioned Yusuf Zalal. He beat Pat Sabatini. He beat Bryce Mitchell, goddammit. All right, he beat him. It doesn't say that he beat him on Tapology, but he beat the guy. It's just that he loses to guys like Anderson Brito, no loss there. Steve Garcia, okay. And Sean Soriano, you lost to a decision to Sean Soriano. That's weird. It's just with the guy being so talented, he's got that off button. He's been really good at not getting hit that cleanly and that hard recently, but I think the opponents that he's fought have been just right up his alley to not get hit. Trevor Peek was this guy that was supposed to come in here and knock him out, but again, Trevor Peek, not the best striker. He's not clean. And Chepe was able to just like whoop, and he even slapped the shit out of Trevor Peek in that fight. Jack Jenkins, not really all that powerful with the punches, mostly a kicker, mostly known to like TKO people with the low kicks. And then he broke his fucking arm by tossing him on he just bitch tossed him and broke his arm. Charriere, to me, he's going to be fast. He's going to be pinpoint accurate. He's going to throw a lot of kicks. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns. I just think he's going to be just a little too much for Mariscal, where he might actually get clipped here and get knocked out. I am going to take Morgan Charriere by knockout in the second round. I'm a fan of both of these guys. It's just, to me, the durability of Charriere, knowing that he can be put in bad spots and then come back and win. I think because they are so evenly matched, I got to go with the more durable guy, the guy that I've not seen get put the fuck out. And I think the guy who's going to be a little faster here. And Chepe, with all the skills that he has, I just think, again, he's going to be a little too slow here, that he's going to get caught with something. And it's going to be a rough night for him. But he's always a dog. He's always down to fight. He's a very cerebral guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls it out. And I'd love to be proven wrong here, but I got to go with Charriere, not because he's got like this hype behind him. He's got cool hair and shit. It's because from what I've seen of the guy, he's super legit. And I always look at those losses. I'm like, why does he have so many losses? And that realization when I started taping the guy, I'm like, oh, because he fucking sucked back then. He wasn't prepared, but like he put in the hard work, and you see it. You see it in his progress in Cage Warriors and all that. So I'm going to go with Charriere to win this one by a second round TKO. All right, next bout, co-main event. And yes, indeed, it is Damon Jackson in a co-main event on a UFC card. May God have mercy on us all. Versus Alex the Great Ape Hernandez. Leech versus the Great Ape. Odds have it in favor of... Just a formality. We know who the favorite's going to be, but here we are. Minus 200 for Hernandez. Come back on Damon Jackson is plus 165. All right, so what a stupid fight. What do my notes say on this one? Hernandez, physically gifted, great wrestler, power in the hands, mentally defeated after round one. Getting dropped by Algio is a bad sign. Has never won at featherweight. And my notes for Damon Jackson, he has hair now. So we're going to go with Damon Jackson to win this one by a submission in the second round. Realistically, with this fight, Hernandez he can outmatch Damon everywhere. He has the wrestling ability. He has the knockout power. He has the perfect height as well to just attack the body of Damon Jackson. The issue with Damon is that I think even at 35 years old, the guy has really improved over the years. He can wrestle. He has a good pace. His boxing has gotten a little bit better. And with Alex, again, he's never won at 145. If you don't remember what he said when he's like, yeah, when I go down to 145, my dick doesn't work. That is a huge red flag for him to say that his dick doesn't work at 145, meaning that he's cutting so much weight that his body isn't working. And we've seen it. He's never won at 145. He looked like God. He looked so bad against Bill Algeo. Like he just looked frozen. Like he had one good moment against Bill. With Damon, he is a guy that you can put out really at any time. You just have to hit him hard enough. Alex can hit hard enough. If Damon prolongs the fight, gets Alex tired, I can see Damon taking over and submitting him. Damon has definitely improved on the mat, so much so, like, we know he's a good wrestler. The dude, like, the thing about me bringing up his hair is that that's going to give him some swag that we've never seen from Damon Jackson. He's going to come out here all fucking groovy and shit. The last time he was like feeling himself or he had a purpose, maybe this purpose is to pay off the Chinese mafia for those hair implants that he got. That the last time that he had a purpose is when his brother passed away and he fought Pat Sabatini and he fucking punted his fucking chin up in the air. Beat him easily. And that's why I'm like, yo, Damon Jackson here with hair, with the new swag, undefeated going forward with the hair. I'm going to go with Jackson by second round submission. I know the dangers of it, but I just cannot take Alex Hernandez to win a fight at 145. You look at it, 145, he fought Billy Quarantillo, lost, got finished in the second round. Next fight, he goes up in weight. Short notice, Jim Miller looks good. He wins. Next bout, gets fucking destroyed by Bill Algeo. He made Bill Algeo look unstoppable. He made Bill Algeo look like Mayweather out there. So I'm going to go with Damon Jackson to win this one by a second round submission. Next bout, main event of the evening, rematch here, Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis the second. The odds have it in favor of Brendan Allen, minus 200. Come back on Chris Curtis is plus 165. Is this going to be a repeat where a guy pulls out on Brendan Allen and Chris Curtis shows up, knocks him out? That's what happened the first time. It was supposed to be, I believe, Roman Dolidze versus Brendan Allen. And then Chris Curtis took the shot on short notice, knocks him the fuck out. Let me take a look. Yep, Rome. Well, actually, originally Brad Tavares, and then shows here it was going to be Roman Dolidze, and then Chris Curtis is like, I'll do it. Same shit here. It was supposed to be Vettori, and now Curtis is like, I'll fucking fight him again. The difference is different men, different points of their career. Brendan Allen, again, on a huge win streak. I think he's much older. He's much wiser. He's 28 compared to the 35 of Chris Curtis. You know, Brendan Allen, we know, great submission game. The best aspect of Brendan Allen is his weird ability to get the submission before the position, meaning he'll go for the rear naked choke, he'll sink it in, and then get the hooks in, which is like, he's very good at doing that. He doesn't need that position. He'll just fucking choke you without it. He did it in his last fight with the the Scottish bum with Chris Curtis. You know, we know what he does best. He can box. He can throw power shots to the body, hooks to the body. Not an easy guy to take down. He's not an easy guy to finish. He trains with Sean Strickland all the time. And the funny thing is that the Extreme Couture guys just have a way of beating Brendan Allen. And this is a 5-round fight. And I keep thinking, what is the easiest path to victory for Brendan to win this fight? Meaning that, like, he's already been knocked out by this guy. They have the same reach, for God's sakes. Apparently here, Chris actually has a half-inch reach advantage over Brandon. Brandon's a good striker. He can throw kicks. He can punch with the best of them. I think that in that first fight, he felt as if Chris didn't belong in there with him, and he kind of treated him that way, and he paid for it really bad. He did that chicken dance. I went back and rewatched it multiple times to see how clean it was. A right hand that landed on Brendan, like a counter right. They both threw right hands, and Chris's was just better. And that funky little chicken dance that he does, it just makes me so happy. Brendan's going to be wearing those purple shorts, which I'm like, yo, that's cool. I love purple. So I'm glad he brought those into the UFC. But the easiest path to victory is just finding the way to beat Chris Curtis on the outside, frustrating him. And that is throwing kicks, just running around the cage, pissing off Chris Curtis, making him, throw and miss. And Chris will eventually, have to force a fight. The thing about Brandon, going back and watching these fights, what made me realize that I don't think he's capable of doing that, because I'm talking to people and I'm like, yeah, Brandon can mature enough to know that he needs to win this fight. He's on a huge win streak. If he loses this fight, he's not going to get a title shot. He can skip over a lot of people if he does beat Chris Curtis here, especially by finish. But I don't know if he can finish Chris with like the traditional means of going for a takedown, taking his back, choking him out. He might have to hurt Chris, maybe knock him out. That's not an easy thing to do. I do think Brandon is uber able to do so. I think he's got the kicks. I think he's got the power in his punches. It's just the amount of danger he has to put himself in to maybe land the ultimate amount of power to knock out Chris, because in that closer range, meaning that like he can throw kicks all he wants, but if Chris closes that distance, he throws to the body and then catches him again up on top. I think Chris is more than capable of hurting Brendan Allen eventually. What made me realize, like, yeah, I know Chris is like, he's getting up there in age. He's not as athletic as he used to be. When you go back and watch the first fight, Brendan Allen goes for a single leg and Chris just like floats in the air for a little bit and then gets back down. I'm like, damn, Chris is like uber athletic. I don't know if he can do that anymore at 36 years old, nearly 38, 37. It's just that like with Brandon, the fight that made me realize that this guy is going to eventually get knocked out again was the Bruno Silva fight, where he was doing well on the feet against Bruno. He couldn't take him down. And then Bruno just bum rushed him and Bruno was landing on him. But the issue with Bruno is that he's not clean with his punches. He was more loopy, that Brandon was able to actually like retaliate and catch him. And he's like, oh, thank God I heard him. Took his back and he finished him. I think Chris is going to knock him out again. I think it's going to be a matter of time. I think with Chris, it's not going to be early. It could be early, but I think it's going to be Brendan more or less putting on a very dominant clinic early up until Chris catches him. And it's not going to be like, oh, he caught him out of nowhere. He's going to set it up, attacking the body, slowing him down, cutting off the cage the proper way, and then catching him with something where they both exchange. Although I do think that Brendan is more than capable of winning this fight by any means that he wants. If he does take the back, he can finish Chris Curtis. If he does throw the right strike, he can knock him out. He can also decision him. It's just that Brendan is a guy that I've always seen as a guy that like fumbles the bag when he's at the top of his game. And when I look at his opponents, I feel as if they are tailor-made for him to beat. Paul Craig, he was always going to beat Paul Craig. Bruno Silva, he was supposed to beat Bruno Silva. The fact that Bruno gave him a decent run for his money was surprising. Andre Muniz, to me, was like, oh wow, like that's a great win. But when you look at Andre Muniz, like you step up to him, you fight him in his game, which is the jiu-jitsu, and he kind of folds there. Christoph Jotko, was doing steroids in the PFL. Jacob Malkoon, fucking knocking people out with a hip. Sam Alvey, for God's sakes. This was, I think, another shot for Chris Curtis to leapfrog him and get a bigger name. Like he can leapfrog a lot of people, take the hype of Purple Pants here, and maybe set up that elusive Chris Curtis versus Sean Strickland fight. Because I imagine that'd be finally we get to see what happens. Like I think they're willing to do so. Like Chris Curtis, Sean Strickland, if you want this title shot, fucking fight for it. I would like that. It'll never happen, but that'd be fucking dope. But yeah, I'm going to go with Chris Curtis to win this one by a knockout. I'm going to say in the 4th round. I think Chris has the good gas tank. I think Brendan Allen, I think Brendan is capable of beating Chris. It's not like he's not a good fighter. I think on paper he's a much better fighter, but that chin cannot be trusted. And I think also the habits of Brendan Allen cannot be trusted as well. I think he gets into a groove. Scenario that I see, Brendan is winning the fight against Chris pretty fucking easily, kicking him from the outside, hitting him with good shots, maybe swelling the eye of Chris. And then Brandon seems to get a little too cocky sometimes, where he's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to go for a takedown. I'm going to knock this guy out because he beat me by knockout the last time. And I've got him against the ropes. And then he goes for a stupid knee, comes in with his hands down. And then Chris just hurts him bad, knocks him out. Chris Curtis could be Brendan Allen's Alex Pereira, his boogeyman. So I'm going to go with the boogeyman here, Chris Curtis, and knock him out in the 4th round. I think he's going to be losing quite a bit. Probably going to take him to win this fight just straight. But I also am looking to see if I am correct to take him live as well when he becomes a pretty significant favorite or underdog, that is. So, yeah, I like them both, really. I think Allen is, again, very capable of winning this fight, but I think he will let himself down, and I'm going to go with Curtis here. I like Curtis as well. I don't like that he's a crybaby bitch sometimes. He's always talking all this stupid shit on Twitter, like, shut the fuck up, Chris Curtis, but I love the way you throw them fucking body shots, so I like Chris Curtis in this spot. The fact that they made him the purple side to make him, that's a little fucked up, right? Like, they made why you got to put the black man in the purple side? That's some fucked up racist stuff. Just for that reparations, I'm going to give Chris Curtis a knockout in the 1st round. That's my pick. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, Johnny TigerBomb. I will catch you on a different day that's not April Fool's.